All right, so welcome back everyone to another Fight Well Wednesday. What a Wednesday it is. What a day to bring our fighting gloves and confront all that's going on in the world, all that is going on in this country, and make sure that we are doing the work to make sure that we as individuals are okay, that we as community members and as family members are okay. And that starts right here with vulnerability and education and shifting habits. So thank you so much for being here. That's what we do in our Fight Well space. I am Dr. Woos, Dr. Mawusi Arnett, MD, with an MPH and a background in health disparities research. I uh, am trained in family medicine and obesity medicine, subspecialized in obesity medicine, and I spend a lot of time in clinic focusing on how people can shift habits in order to create um, sustainable well-being and sustainable health, even though medications are also really useful and can be very important in many cases. So we've got here with us our co-host who started off as a volunteer, but per the pre-Mother's Day theme of today's conversation, she just kept on showing up for free, giving us amazing advice, sharing her wisdom and support. That is none other than Dr. Bridget Arnett, who is first and foremost my amazing mother, who is next a medical doctor with a PhD in neurobiology. Her clinical specialty, so her doctoring focus is neurology, and she has subspecialized, is board certified in um, electrophysiology and sleep medicine. She does a lot of other things in her clinical practice. And so I'm just so excited that she's here with us, especially in this conversation where we're honoring our mothers and mother figures and talking about all that we've learned from them about what it looks like to be well and frankly what it looks like not to be well, right? What are all the ways that they've blessed us with this knowledge? Thanks for being here, Dr. Bridget.
You make it sound like I would not have shown up. Like I don't get anything out of the sessions. Like I show up and you're surprised. What? Are you kidding?
Well, that's the thing, right? And I would love, this is a great way to kick off our conversation because, the thing about great moms is you're not surprised when they show up because they just keep showing up. They keep showing up even when you have better things to do, even when you have other things to do, or you're tired or you're sick, you just keep showing up. I'm not surprised, but I'm really grateful. So thank you so much.
You
You
cleaned
clear.
that up real good.
I know. You underestimate the power of your um I call Byte Wellness these Zoom Wednesdays, as I call them. This is a support group and it helps everyone. You derive just as much from these sessions as everyone here. We're all learning from one another. We're learning from you because you bring your expertise and your research and science. You bring science to real life. And I just enjoy being part of that.
Oh, you don't make me cry.
Oh, right. Glenda, thank you. Let's
Glenda, you're a mess. You are a
I love
mess.
I love both of you all. I'm so glad you're both here.
I
Yes,
love
yes,
you
yes.
too, Glenda.
I can't
Thank
still
you,
And
can't
Glenda.
believe
Love
that's your mother. God. You sure that's not your
Acting,
sister? That's
right?
your sister,
Might as
girl.
well be. Might
She
as
look,
well be.
her skin. I mean, she's flawless, both of you.
Mm,
Oh,
Thank you.
get it from
yeah.
my mama. It's true. It's true. We got Belinda who came in. Hi,
Hi,
Belinda.
Hi,
Belinda.
Belinda. You're
Hi.
done with your dancing for tonight? This is
She,
she's a line
mhm.
dancer.
Exactly, right?
Mhm.
So if Belinda is able to come on at any point during the conversation, just a casual check-in, Belinda.
Yes, can
Um,
you guys hear me?
Yeah,
yes, hey.
Yes, yes, dance practice is over and I left a little early so that I could try to get in on the Zoom.
Oh, so glad that you're here.
Yes.
Thank you for showing up
Yes.
for us and yourself. Terry just brought up, yes, line dancing. Belinda is a line dancing machine. She has shared some of her resources with us. Um, and so why don't we just get started with we're going to get started with our check-in in just a moment. I want to make sure that we do get a chance to go over the quiz. Although, I think you all did really well on this quiz. So, we'll start with the question. I'll just read it out to you. I'll put it in the chat. So, there's this new data. There's this study called the SWAN study that tracked women for 20 years, women from all over the country, and tracked them like 3,300 of them. Started tracking them generally in their 40s. They were between the age of 42 and 52, and um, they started tracking them before menopause. That was the important part. So they could have been premenopausal or perimenopausal, but definitely had not gone through menopause. And they were interested in just what are all of the health outcomes? When do they get high blood pressure? When do they get diabetes? Who is having heart attacks? How can we better understand this change that all women go through if we live long enough, right? Um, and how do we understand how it impacts our health and how to be prepared for it? And so then there's this other researcher who came along recently who said, wait a minute, y'all left a lot of Black women out of this study. And said, well, what if we went and what if we did a new study where we looked at the bigger bucket of potential participants, people who took the survey, people who got their blood drawn, but who in the end didn't really qualify to be part of the 3,300 women that were followed for 20 years. What if we looked at them and imagined that they had been included and reached out to them and got their information to see, well, when did they develop certain diseases? And then we redid the study. What would that tell us about, particularly for our purposes, about Black women's likelihood of developing these different diseases when we are inclined to develop high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, and, the heart attack and stroke related risks that come from those conditions. And so they did this new study, and I wanted you to have all this background, right? But it doesn't all fit into a text message. So now you know. The question for the quiz is based on the data in that new study. When do you think we should get really intentional about cutting our diabetes and our blood pressure risks? At what age should we really start to work on it? One option is A, in our 30s is when we really need to buckle down and start shifting habits. B, in our 50s. C, in our 70s. D, never. And what answer do you all think is the right one? I think everybody here got the right answer. So what did you choose?
Hey,
Ooh,
they're the better.
yeah. Yeah, Terry. I mean, I guess I didn't make it that hard on you guys because yeah, the younger the better, and 30s were the youngest option. Um, so what this study showed is that when they included all these women who had been excluded, a lot of the women who were included were Black. 60% of Black women who had been initially surveyed were left out of the study. And a higher proportion of them had already had high blood pressure, already had between the ages of 42 and 52, already had type 2 diabetes or prediabetes. And so when they crunched those numbers again, they found that the average age for developing these conditions, according to the original study, that average age for everybody, not just Black women, but also the white women and two different Asian nationalities and Hispanic women who were included in the study, average age decreased by 20 years.
Mm.
20 years by leaving us out of the study. And I don't think there was a decision made, we just don't like Black women, we're going to leave them out. But but the way that they set up the exclusion criteria, where they said we basically don't want anyone who already has these conditions, it meant that you're missing out on a lot of Black women's experiences, because it turns out, because of weathering, because of structural racism, because of the
Mhm.
combination of stressors, bodily stressors that are really unique to our experience, we develop these conditions earlier. So we are in this one study, the original one even, we developed high blood pressure about 5 years earlier than white women. In the study, we developed type 2 diabetes about 11 years earlier, type 2 diabetes or prediabetes, 11 years earlier than white women. And in general, when you took the new folks and added them back into the study, these numbers decreased for everyone. So there is an overconfidence that was communicated basically by the original study when it didn't include Black women who happen to have been more sick than the average person that was included in the study. And it turns out the study authors, the ones who did this new research, said, you know what? We're seeing folks develop high blood pressure in their 40s. We're seeing folks develop type 2 diabetes in their 40s and 50s. Like they made a call for public health programs to be instituted as early as our 30s, instead of targeting middle-aged people who are the ones we think of as developing these conditions. They said, no, Black women, we need to be looking at them, or they need to be looking at us, depending on what side of the fence I stand on, as early as when we're like 31, to make sure that habits change so that we don't develop high blood pressure 10 years later. Is anything about that kind of surprising to anyone, or does it resonate?
My middle daughter developed uh, hypertension in her 30s. She's still in her 30s, but in her early 30s. Um, my oldest daughter is now, I don't know, I think she was calling it perimenopause, where her doctor has her on a hormonal patch because she felt like she was losing her mind.
Mm.
Um, she's talked about this itchiness in her ear and this emotional roller coaster she's been on and the night sweats. I'm like, girl, you're only 40. What are you talking about? And then I thought about it. I also had I called it pre-menopausal in my 30s. I think I was 35, 36 when the doctor told me that. I was like, really? That's crazy. Why?
Yeah. And it's
Diabetes? No.
genetic.
Yeah, yeah. Because
The,
that's what the doctor said, oh, you can blame your mother for that then. She did tell her that because my daughter, she called me. She's like, yeah, my doctor told me I could blame you for that. Like, okay. And
yeah,
her blood pressure has been going up and down, up and down. But then she's in school. She is trying to be a PA. She just graduated. Now she's in school.
congratulations.
So she the one that told me about this steroid thing. She said, "Mom, you know what? That steroid is causing your nose to bleed." She
She's
called the doctor.
smart.
Oh yeah, she very smart.
Oh, that's
So
beautiful, Glenda.
and my son, who's in his 30s, he also has high blood pressure. He also is taking medication. So it
Okay.
runs that's one thing that runs through my family.
Yeah, I mean, you just made a couple points, Glenda. So first of all, yes, having high blood pressure in our 30s as Black women is not atypical, right? It's not rare. It's not something that needs to happen, right? Like
Mhm.
blood pressure generally, high blood pressure is one of those things where 80 to I'd say 90 to 95% of cases could be managed if caught early enough, could be managed uh or reversed using habits, right? So first losing 5 to 10% of body weight uh if someone thinks that they've gained a lot of extra weight, just straight up losing 5% might take the blood pressure back down to normal. We know that eating lots of fresh fruits and vegetables and getting those phytonutrients, filling each plate and snack at least 50% of the way full with those non-starchy fruits and veggies is a great way to make sure our bodies have the chemical building blocks necessary to even relax those blood vessels. Things like blueberries, we've talked about, increase the level of nitric oxide in our blood vessels, which means that instead of being tight and clamped down and constricted, which makes our pressure high, the blood vessels can actually release and relax. And studies show eating about a cup of blueberries a day can lower blood pressure, as well as a tiny dose of one of our common blood pressure meds, hydrochlorothiazide. So Glenda, I'm sure you are passing info on to your kids about things that they can do in addition to taking the medications that their doctor prescribed,
Hmm.
things that they can do to shift habits, and just might one day look up and notice that their blood pressure is so much lower, the doctor can start cutting medications. Um, and then certainly invite your daughters to this conversation. We'd love to have them.
I have. I have. Yeah, but hey, but
Yeah, all you
the
can do
daughter
is
with the
invite.
cancer is the one who really she's been doing these fastings, and she's really watched what she eats,
Wow.
and she goes to the gym, and the other one does too. And that was the little one. I always felt that you develop your children's fat genes when they're a baby. Uh,
You're
I
not wrong
breast,
about that, actually.
I breastfed the oldest one until she was almost she was over one. I don't think she was quite two, and she's my thin child. And then the other two, I was married, depressed, and stuck cereal in their bottles, and they both were my chubby, chunky kids. I saw the difference.
That
So,
is really interesting observation. I definitely don't want you to blame yourself at all, Glenda. Um, Especially talking about moms. and
Yeah.
things that moms and women generally do. Um, but I said earlier, you're right about kind of fat genes. You're right about the epigenetic influence that where the environment can play a role in our can actually affect which genes get expressed and whether we are set up to be bigger people or smaller people. Those the very first time that those environmental influences come into play is actually in utero when we are in our mother's womb. And we don't understand all of the details of every scenario, but studies have been done on women who are in periods of starvation, for example, um, during wars, uh, when for whatever reason those babies are more likely to become obese adults,
Mm.
um, even during the same time period in history. We've seen that babies born to mothers who have gestational diabetes are more likely to be born big and also more likely to be obese later on. Um, but I think even when we're talking about whether we're programmed to be bigger or not, whether we're programmed to kind of hold on to fat or not, there's still a lot of environmental influence that happens from the moment you're born until when you're an adult, right? And there are
Mm.
lots of things that we can do to make sure that our bodies have enough of the lean muscle they want. We might still have more fat than the next person, and we're just programmed to be that way. But as long as we can make sure by, say, lifting weights, moving regularly, we can make sure that we're building up that muscle and keeping it strong, then we're less likely to experience the complications of being big, right? We're not likely to have clinical obesity, even if your doctor takes your height and weight and says, oh, you're obese. You're less likely to have high blood pressure or type 2 diabetes or any of that if we can keep our our percentage of muscle mass up. So Glenda shared a lot with us
I'm
about,
sorry.
no, thank you. I'm thankful that you shared because there are two main themes. So one is like, okay, we're talking about what we've learned from our mothers. And first of all, we all need to know if you have not gone through menopause yet, everybody needs to know that your kind of the genetic propensity to have menopause early or as in uh, before mid 40s or kind of right at mid 40s or later, that really does track with our mother's history. So if you haven't
Mm.
gone through menopause yet, time to ask your mother or ask around, ask your aunts when exactly did this happen for you? And then if you have already had it, if you've got any daughters, really important to have that conversation with them so they can anticipate it. That's huge. And then the second thing was you're kind of picking up on differences in your kids' weight and then differences in how you fed them early on. So thank you for sharing that. I wonder who else would like to give us a check-in. Tell us how you're doing. How has this week been? And maybe could you share something about what you've what you've learned from your mother or mother figures in your life about health, well-being, just a lesson to pass on to the rest of us? Or even a thing that you have learned if you are a mother or a mother figure. What have you learned through the process of mothering that you want to pass on to us? So one, how are you? What's up with you? And two, what lessons should we know? What wisdom can you share? Who wants to go
Hi,
next?
this is me.
Hi, Sparkle. Good to see you.
I'm in pain. Muscle muscle spasm or something is going on my left side, upper upper back.
Oh no.
Down
That's
the
what you
down.
chatted about that.
Mm-hmm. And it's been going on almost a week.
Mm.
Okay. Who have you talked to about it? Who is helping you right now?
Uh, Myself basically.
Yeah.
Heating, putting a heating pad on it. I did have some muscle spasm medication here, but I
Mm-hmm.
haven't been taking them. I'm not one to take pills, so right now I've been trying ibuprofen since Monday. Only since
Mm.
that's a little, but not much.
Do you have a primary care doctor you can reach out to?
Oh yes,
Okay.
so I'll probably give her a call tomorrow because it's been going on quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like you could probably use, and I want to use Dr. Bridges' expertise here too, because it sounds like you've got some nerve-related symptoms, but it sounds like you could maybe use some imaging and certainly a full exam, physical exam with your doctor.
I just had that in April, but I wasn't having this pain. I just
Right. And
physical.
I mean an exam where they're actually
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
looking at the site of pain and they're moving your arm around and testing your nerve function, whether you can feel, you know,
Mhm.
sharpness and temperature on those fingers. Anything else to keep an eye on, Dr. Bridget?
Where is the pain located exactly?
Right. If you take your right hand and pat yourself on your back to the right, to the left side, it's right up in the upper top. Yes. There, a little bit in the neck on that side, and all down the arm, that left arm.
Mm.
Okay. And is the shoulder blade, the scapula, when you move it, does it hurt?
It hurts some, but not much moving it.
Did you strain it? Like, did you sleep on your side and then wake up and feel it, or play tennis, or do any type of jerky movements of that arm?
Probably competitive movement that I have been doing.
Like what?
Well, I work doing food samplings
Mm-hmm.
and probably the reaching. The food samples in Costco.
Mm-hmm. A lot of
Yeah,
reaching
better.
on that
Yeah,
left side.
probably like kind of twisting my body more so, like reaching, constantly reaching and going from the side, from the left to the right
Mm-hmm.
with the right hand.
Mm-hmm.
Just with me doing that right now, I can really feel it with my right hand doing the movement to the left,
Mm.
like real tight muscles on that upper.
Yeah.
Like between the shoulder blade and your spine? Is that
Correct.
where you kind of feel it right up to your neck?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right. So that is a particular area where people get a lot of pain and muscle spasm. Yes, you definitely need to see your doctor because you'd have to be examined to just prove this. But if you can reach and press in there and it hurts, Does it also bring relief if you put a lot of pressure in the muscle area?
It does.
Perfect, because then you can make it go away. If you have a tennis ball or a softball, you can actually put that between the shoulder blade and the spine up against the wall. So you have this tennis ball between it's on the wall and your back, and you just roll up and down. Or you get someone to just dig in there deep, really hard. I know it's going to hurt. And then just give you a deep tissue massage,
Okay.
and that'll help loosen it up. Like you said, ibuprofen and things like that, when it's this type of, it's like, it sounds like, once again, not examining you, so I can't be
Mhm.
certain, right? But sounds like the type of muscle pull, like if someone gets a Charlie horse in their hamstring or in their calf, the only way to make it really go away is to rub it out.
Okay.
And in this case, once again, someone needs to lay hands on you and actually do the exam to be certain that nothing else is going on. But it sounds like you're talking about this muscle called the trapezius. There's some underlying muscles as well. It attaches to the neck, the shoulder blade, the spine, and even the back of the shoulder here. And it allows you to move your arms in and flip that arm out. Um, there's some other muscles underneath, but that's the big bulky superficial muscle that sort of holds it all in place, and it's easy to get spasms in there.
Okay.
But if you can do a deep tissue massage to that area, either have someone do it, or like I said, I've strained this area playing tennis
Mhm.
before.
Oh,
And like just hours of tennis. And that type of massage with a tennis ball or a small, even a softball can help.
okay.
But see a doctor for
All right.
sure.
So, I will.
Yeah.
Definitely will. And
But
I
you
do
may
have
be able to
a
get some modicum of relief just
Mhm.
by doing that deep tissue, what we call fascial release of those muscles with the ball.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Th-
Mhm.
Thank you, Dr. Bridget. Thank you so much. Sparkle,
Sure.
thank you for sharing. I'm sorry that that's your check-in, that you're not doing well, but I'm also glad that you came today because maybe kind of uh lying on your back on that tennis ball, like Dr. Bridget mentioned, or getting somebody to use the tennis ball
Mhm.
um, on your shoulder to rub the muscle out, maybe it'll actually help. But it's
Okay.
still so important to see your doctor.
Oh, yes, I will. And I
Okay.
do have a tennis ball, and I do lay on my back anyway to sleep.
There you go. All right. So you can just place that tennis ball back there and see how it helps
Okay.
move around a little bit.
Okay.
Tell
Okay.
your daughter to send you the massage envy for Mother's Day.
Oh, you know what? I do have one of those tin things. It's called tins. You put the patch on you and turn the machine on. I don't know if that'll help, but
Mm.
yep, it's
A
kind of
TENS
like,
unit, it
yes.
may, but when the muscle's tight,
Mm-hmm.
the TENS unit, I mean, you can try it. It
Oh,
may actually loosen it up a little bit, but sometimes when it's tight, the TENS unit doesn't help
oh,
as much.
like,
Give it a try though. I love it. Give it a try.
I have the gun. Rita, you want to borrow it? The
The
massage gun.
Theragun,
Yes.
that'll
I mean,
work.
it looks like a gun. It's my son bought it for me for Christmas or birthday one year,
mm-hmm.
and it's powerful. It came with like 10 different gadgets that you can use,
Yep.
but I like the one that kind of looked like a tennis ball, and you
Yep.
could, yeah,
Okay. I'll let
yeah,
you know. Thank
yeah.
you.
I'll
Appreciate
bring it.
that.
Yep.
Thank
That's
you.
beautiful since you two know each other. That's real community. Look at that. Okay.
And I
We've
wanted to
got,
elaborate on the menopause.
yes.
My mom never had menopause. she's no longer here, but she never went through menopause. And I never experienced menopause.
Wow.
Mhm. Me either.
No, I never experienced that.
Who said me neither? That's weird. I thought that's just part of life. How do you not experience it?
No, no hot flashes and none of that stuff.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay. So
I
you mean
didn't either. Yeah.
your periods ended, but you didn't have bad symptoms.
I never had, no, correct.
Okay, okay, good.
Mhm.
Yeah, so you had menopause. I mean, true. I get you, Glenda. It's either we have the ovaries taken out and we're forced into a menopause, or you're taking some medication, or you have an illness and you're forced into menopause, or like early, or um the ovaries just kind of slowly, when it's time, stop making their hormones, and then we have more of a natural menopause. And it's more complicated than that, and areas of the brain, of course, are involved with hormones that tell our ovaries to start or stop making hormones. But
Mhm.
yeah, that it sounds like what you're trying to say is you didn't have those bad vasomotor symptoms, the hot flashes, the night sweats.
Right, no, never.
Okay. I'm so
And
glad to hear that.
yeah, neither did I.
And Belinda said,
Who?
neither
Mhm.
did I.
Right, right. And I just want
Excellent.
to share real quick with you guys,
Yeah.
like you were asking for check-in.
Mhm.
And just real quick, I'm doing better now, but from April the 27th, 1974 through May the 1st, 1974, I had a son. And I was 18 years old and my son passed. And so this is the first year that I've really just kind of acknowledged him. He would have been 51 years old on April 27th. And
Wow.
that was just a really hard time for me. And so I really just broke down and just started feeling all of the grief um
Mm.
associated with that. I just really kind of, because I was 18 years old. I was in Chicago. I didn't have any family other than my first cousin, and I came from a home that I did not feel loved. I was always told, you're black, you're ugly, you're never going to be anything. And this is what my brother would tell me, you're not going to get a job. You can only work as a maid. And so he would say these things all the time. So I didn't feel loved at home. And so this baby was going to be my everything. Like
Oh
that was
man.
going to be, my unconditional love and all of that. And so he had an enlarged heart and I think a fistula on the brain. And while he was living, I did not get to touch his warm body because he was in an incubator. And I only got to hold him when he had passed.
Oh
And I
man.
held him and cried until my face swelled up. So anyway, I'm doing a whole lot better now. That period is over, but I just wanted to share with you guys that thank God I'm at a much better place today than I was a few days
Amen.
ago. So
Amen.
yeah.
This Belinda, Brenda,
Yes,
who?
yes.
Okay.
This
Oh
the line
man.
baby.
The land there. Do you have any other children?
Yes, I have
Oh,
a 45-year-old daughter and a 36-year-old son. Yes.
okay.
But that, yeah, Donald Jerry Johnson Jr. would have been my firstborn, or was my firstborn.
Mhm. Thank you for sharing, Belinda.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you were able to work through such
Yes.
difficult experience. And just, I
Mhm.
mean, good job, right?
Yeah.
Actually confronting it and honoring the experience and honoring
Yeah. Well, it felt
that
good to do
child.
that because in all of the 51 years, I had just never even just, took time to acknowledge that. And I sent off for his birth certificate a while back and got that. And so this year, I just did a Facebook post because I have had a picture of him. The nurse was holding him. And I just posted that picture saying, I would not let the day pass without wishing him a happy heavenly 51st birthday. So yeah, and I'm in a much better place today, thank God.
Yes. And I always tell people when people die young like that, they have their reservation already.
Yeah.
They're gonna be seated with God.
Yes,
It's us
indeed.
old folks who need to get together.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Right.
Yes,
Right. We the
Lord.
ones hoping to
Yeah.
get through the gates.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. Thank you, Belinda. That is such a
Yes,
beautiful,
sure.
Yes.
beautiful sharing.
And you
Yeah.
named him. You named him too, right?
Yes, he was Donald
Mhm.
Jerry Johnson Jr.
Oh wow.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
I hope he's somewhere just smiling from ear to ear, knowing how
Yeah,
much we love him.
most definitely.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
seeing his mom dancing and being active and
Ooh,
doing her
yes.
Right.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
laughing and smiling. His brother and sisters. Yes.
Yeah, most definitely.
I will I will share this speaking of you as a very active person, Belinda. When you went through
Mhm.
menopause, were you really active at that time,
Yeah, I didn't go through
physically?
menopause. I didn't have any symptoms.
Right,
Mm,
no
mm, mm.
symptoms, but
Uh-huh.
so menopause just literally means um
After your period,
the
or
menstruation
oh,
stops. It's
gotcha,
just the
gotcha.
end of that. So
Right, right.
so I guess if any of us lives long enough, that happens, right?
Yes,
But but you're saying you didn't have any of the
the symptoms, the
uncomfortable
hot
symptoms.
flashes, right, right. The hot flash,
Yeah.
none of that. Yeah, I
And
didn't
I'm
experience any of
asking if you were active then because there's
it.
a lot
Well,
we don't understand about these symptoms, but one of the
yeah.
things we understand is that there is some association with metabolic health. And so the
Mm,
same things we talk about, the same habits that we shift in order to manage or prevent high blood pressure, manage our weight,
mhm,
uh,
mhm,
prevent type 2 diabetes, or reverse it. Those same habits, like being really active, like you are,
mhm. Right. Well,
also help us avoid or minimize the menopause symptoms.
right. Well, during that time, I don't think I was like doing anything extra other than just going to work every day and being a mother to my two children. Like,
Okay,
I didn't do any like extra going to the gym or taking walks, or I wasn't really
you weren't
involved in
line
line
dancing
dancing or
back then.
anything. Right. I was not. Right. Matter of fact, I didn't start line dancing until 2018.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then we can't chalk it up to that per se,
Mm,
and you might have just had some genetic penchant
mm,
for not having these sorts of symptoms, these vasomotor
okay.
symptoms,
Right.
or maybe there were other things you were doing in your life, like getting lots of sleep and managing a healthy
Mm,
weight
yeah.
um and managing your stress, things that helped you out. Uh,
Mhm.
okay. So thank you for sharing that.
Sure, you're welcome.
Anyone else? We've got Miss Yvetta and Miss Terry who have not yet had their check-in. Can you check in? Can you tell us also, can you pass on some wisdom that you've gained either from observing your mother or some mother figure, or wisdom you've gained from being a mother or acting as a mother figure? Check in and wisdom.
I'll go and then because I want to hear from Yvetta because I know she's a grandmother, I think, isn't she?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not a mother.
Beautiful baby.
But my mom was an RN. So we were blessed to have so all of the health issues or whatever, she was able to, whether she knew it or not, she knew how to connect us to
Mm,
to doctors that could help us. You know what I'm saying? She was a
mm.
strong advocate and she reached for the top. She reached to the top and got Dr. Nigerian, if you guys know who he was, the man that did the open heart, wherever that child, the first heart surgery,
Oh, wow. Oh my
contacted.
gosh.
That's what I'm saying. So she was fearless. So she reached up for the top to get
Uh-huh.
there. So that part we were so I know that I was blessed because I was well loved. It's
Mm.
so I really appreciate that. My sister does too.
That's beautiful. And what do you think is your health or wellness takeaway? I can probably guess, but I want to hear what
Oh,
you
well,
think.
well, both my parents, my dad was heavy set, so he didn't want us to be heavy set. My mom wanted us to be kind of chunky and, you know, like those chunky babies. He said, don't do that because it's too hard to reverse it. You know what I mean? So I would say that she was the person that really believed in dental health, but he believed in keeping your weight down because he knew it was really hard to reverse it once you get it going.
Okay. So you learned from mom,
Mhm.
take care of those chompers. From dad, you learned weight is what a risk factor. Like it's something that can extra weight can possibly negatively affect your health. And you learn that it's important to manage it, just like it's important to manage any other of our health risk factors.
Mhm.
And then I guess the takeaway I have from hearing how um I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like maybe how tirelessly or how powerfully your mother worked to get you all health resources, like finding that superstar doctor. I I wonder if that has anything to do with your approach to health and wellness now, where it's after hours, it's late in the middle of the week, and you're on a Zoom call thinking about health, um, figuring out what you can do to support your own well-being. That's a way of tirelessly advocating for yourself, kind of like your mother did.
Well, she was so, because like with mothers, like, you know, Belinda and all of these people that are mothers, you guys are really, Glenda, you guys are busy. You know what I'm saying? And so for us non-mothers, we can be busy like career-wise or whatever, but these other people, they're doing careers and they're doing the raising of the children. And you never stop raising your child. Even Dr. Bridget will say that. You know, I mean, even though you're an accomplished person, you know, it was so cute. You had a cold or something one time, and I didn't know you guys were related. You know, I had no because you were using your first name, so I didn't know what your last names were. And so she said, "And so what does that mean?" I mean, she was asking very direct questions like a mother. And I said, I wonder why because she never asked me questions like that, direct, you know what I'm saying? And so I just wondered, and so I said, well, maybe they're cousins or something. I don't know, because I didn't know you guys were related. But that just tells you that that mother's job is never done. It's not done at 18. And I don't like parents to say, I'm done. At 18, you're on your own. You're out. You're not ready at 18 to take on the world. And if you've ever
Mm,
Mhm.
your parents, like I went to college, I graduated from college. I needed my mother more after I graduated from college than I did to get through college.
mm.
And so that's why I'm saying that job of being a mother, that's why I salute all the mothers that are on the line, because that's a lifetime job. And it's 24 hours, 7 days a week. It never stops.
Whew. Say it. Say it.
Mhm.
Yes. Salute to the mothers here. Salute to mother figures as well who may not have given birth, may not be called mom, but show up to children who need, for the children who need mothers, the children in your lives who may be nieces or god babies, but you're showing up and you're filling those shoes. Thank you so much for all that you do. Miss Yvetta said she is not able to speak right now, but we still appreciate your presence, Miss Yvetta. And then Belinda says, I think in response to Terry's comment saluting the mothers, she she totally agrees. I agree 100%, she said. That was dead on, Terry. Okay. Well, as usual, we have come over time, but a couple things we'll do as promised. I always feel so bad hyping everybody up for a dance party and then not doing it. So we're gonna do it. I'm gonna switch over and share my audio with you all. But in the meantime, I did just add a link to the chat. That is the link to that new analysis of the SWAN study. So the journal article that our quiz was based on today. If you want to read through the entire study, it has some interesting graphics, which I'll pull up in future future weeks as we continue talking about our experiences across the different life stages that we have as women. All right. Let's see. And you know what? Actually, I want to encourage you all this week, this month, we're starting something new. Trying this out. You know the number that you text? So you're getting text messages from me at 1-866-717-1919. And for
Mm-hmm.
anyone watching the recording, by the way, if you want to get in on the weekly quizzes and you have no idea how, all you have to do is send a text message, TEXT, to this phone number, 1-866-717-1919. So that same number, you can also call it and leave a voicemail. So I want to try something out this month. If you all have any new thoughts after we hang up tonight, you got some new thoughts about how uh how your mothers or mother figures have influenced your approach to health and well-being, or you've got like a funny story to share, go ahead and just call that number, leave a voicemail. Nobody's going to pick up. It's all just like a robot. Um, so it'll go straight to voicemail. And that might be an easy way for us to just share thoughts, ideas. If next Monday, this coming Monday, we share a prompt and you feel like you want to respond, please do respond over text. But if you have more to say than you think can fit in a text message, then feel free to just call that number and leave your thoughts. And we'll be able to, if you give us permission, we'll be able to share those with the community. I think it would be wonderful because I get so many beautiful responses and even hilarious ones from
Mm-hmm.
so many of the folks on our